am I missing something? Is there something I'm missing? Is there a silver bullet out there? And the more you dig in, the more you realize that it's basically a big con.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Dojo podcast, where we bring real solutions to real health and wellness problems. In today's episode, we are talking all about supplements. Do they work? If they do, to what extent? How long do they take to work? All these questions and more are answered today. And as somebody that pretty much prescribes supplements professionally and has been doing so for many, many years, I hope that you find a lot of value and great information out of this episode. Let's get to it. And we're going.
Here we are.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, surviving the next get-in. We survived a lot over the past couple years, and now it's flood season.
It's flood season. It is. You just came here in a complete torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Hail, rain.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I'm gonna have to take it some different ways home because I was coming through some like 2-foot puddles, or they felt like they were that deep anyways.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But we're safe and sound right now, recording another episode here.
We're safe here.
Unless water starts coming in through the
don't
studio.
Don't even say that.
No.
Don't even say that. No,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. It's always fun to be here with my man, the naturopathic ninja, Dr. Riley.
In the house.
In the house.
Thank
yeah.
you, Mr. Kyle Craik.
Of course.
And I guess we can introduce the listeners to the episode. Welcome to the Wellness Dojo podcast, where we bring real solutions to real health and wellness problems. So we're rolling now. We're episode 26 here.
Yeah. Almost at 30.
Nice.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. We last episode we had Fabian from the men's league there, and then we were just together on the golf course doing the charity golf course thing. So that was fun.
Yeah, and you were just dropping knowledge on people at the golf tournament, talking about supplements.
Let's try and whatever you want to talk about. I can talk supplements all day about almost anything. So yeah, they just had to go tee off, but I would have loved to have kept them even a little longer and drop more knowledge. But it was fun.
Well, maybe some of those golfers that were out at that tournament will be joining us today on the podcast, and we're going to drop some more supplement knowledge on them today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Today is going to be a very in-depth episode about supplements and what I've learned from essentially being a professional supplement prescriber for several years now, and coming from a place of care too. I'm not a salesman, a huckster of supplements. I go through an online dispensary. I don't even carry my own stock, so that's really nice for me because it doesn't give me a lot of I'm not really inspired to sell a bunch of supplements to people that they may not need. Which is like, I kind of like that control's in place, to be honest. So I just prescribe things to people that I think is genuinely going to help them. And so I want to share a little bit about my philosophy with supplements and prescribing and tempering expectations and all sorts of great stuff, because it's such a big world out there, and like anything, there's some great information and there's some very vague information, and then of course there's even some misinformation.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the thing. A lot of people get their nose turned up, or they have their guard up as soon as they hear the term supplement, or as soon as somebody starts talking about supplements with them. Instant guard is up. Instantly, it's intimidating. It's very overwhelming for a lot of people. Or even if you've looked into supplements in the past for yourself, it can be a very overwhelming thing, because there's so, like you said, there's so much information out there, and you don't know what's the right information. You don't know what's safe, what's not safe. And so these are some of the things that you're going to help people understand a little bit better today.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky being such a profitable industry.
Yeah.
I think it's trillions. I don't even think it's a billion. I think it's like in the trillions, right? And so that defensiveness that you talked about, that might be elicited because of a little bit of that. People going, there is this sales aspect to it that can come up because it's such a big business. But at the root of things, at the cornerstone of the business, there is a reason why people take them as well. They're are good studies for several different supplements and herbs that, if taken at the right dose for a certain amount of time, at least knowing what you're trying to achieve, that can all work, and it can all help and support you.
Yeah.
So you have to find somebody that is knowledgeable and that you trust. You might become that person, and that's okay too. But you have to learn the hierarchy of evidence, and you have to learn to read research, and then you have to learn to weigh certain trials against other trials, because they might show different results. And then what are you going to make of that, especially when you're trying to counsel another person, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the common things that we see in the industry is, Sally down the street who's taking supplement X, and it's working great for them, recommends it to, Sue. But maybe it's not the right supplement for Sue.
Yeah.
Right. There's different things that people need to look for, and different lifestyle, different aspects of their lifestyle that might, counteract whether that supplement is good for them. Right.
Absolutely. Because was it Sally or Sue? Sally might have osteoarthritis, and so she's just talking about pain in her joints. And then the other one was
Sue.
Sally and Sue? They're friends?
Sue, yeah.
Okay.
They're friends.
So Sally and Sue, the neighborly friends there. So then Sue might have something, let's say, like fibromyalgia, where it's not necessarily an inflammation issue. It's more of a hyperactive nervous system issue. And so that anti-inflammatory it's not going to target her issue, even though they're both talking about pain, essentially, like nondescript pain. And so, I mean, that would be exactly why what you just described can happen.
Yeah.
It can just be that they're just not quite aware of that it's different issues or not, and that's why one thing can work for one person and not for another. This stuff it's trickier than it appears. It really is. You have to be, because supplements, in comparison to a lot of pharmaceuticals, because the effect is much more, let's say, modest, and especially it's one that aggregates over time, you have to make sure you're on the right path. Because if you're not, you're just going to be doing something for however long you do it until you get fed up that you don't think it's working, and then you're done, and then you might be done with supplements forever.
Yeah.
They don't work. They're a scam. And so it depends on what your experience is with them. But yeah, you need to be focused and targeted, and you need to have the right knowledge behind it.
Yeah, and one thing that this industry tends to do in terms of supplements, and we talked about how, it's kind of a bit of a shady business in some aspects, where, like you said, like there's misinformation that's out there. And it's a big marketing industry as well, where things are marketed as being the solution.
And a lot of inferences are made from studies, and then you can just kind of say that word research shows, but the study behind it didn't show that their product actually worked for what they're saying. I'm always surprised. Like, I'm still surprised. Sometimes they include the hyperlink. If you're reading a little article online, it says research shows or studies show. Click that link and just see where it brings you. Half the time it's a error 404 page to begin with, and the other half, even just by reading the abstract and the title, it's not claiming anything that they're claiming anymore. So anyways, a part of this episode, I do want to talk a little bit about supplement literacy and research literacy. There's a starting point. Just do that every once in a while and see if what they're saying it does, even the title of that study, says anything remotely like that.
Yeah, and that's a good segue. That's what I wanted to ask you next is, where do people start? So how do people know if they even should be taking a supplement or supplements?
Yeah.
Like, how do people know what are people supposed to look for? How do people know, where do I start, or do I need a supplement?
Sure. And I would say that opinions on does everyone need supplements varies. There's only a couple sticklers left, and I would say that's probably your vitamin D and omegas based on your sunlight exposure and your intake of fish. But I would say, if you're wondering if you need a supplement, there's a couple of ways you can go about that. One is, you can say, did I used to have something, or did I used to feel a certain way? Now something is missing, something's lacking. Could have something changed that I need to supplement for? So that's one of the things. And then the other is just foundations of health, right? So there are a few maybe vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that you want to make sure you're getting one way or another. And if you're not, because let's say you don't have exposure to sunlight, you're not eating any fish, you don't eat meat, like all sorts of things, then yes, that's when it's time to try to supplement. Because a lot of the studies, it's not about taking healthy people, giving them a supplement and seeing if it improves. It tends to be testing their blood, seeing what's missing, supplementing that in, and then they feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And so that tends to be what these studies are. Is it's more so, are you at a point of deficiency for one reason or another? That's where you're going to see the biggest improvement. I know it's obvious, but like for some people it isn't.
But so for some people who are basically, if they are noticing some sort of symptom of like, oh, I'm just so tired all of a sudden, and I don't understand why I'm so tired, or I keep getting headaches, or some kind of symptom that's abnormal to what would be normal to them, that's when they should look at it. And it sounds like you're saying probably the best thing that somebody can do is to just go, something isn't right. I'm going to do just a general lab test and see.
Yep. You could do that. Absolutely. Yeah. Or you could go, what are the baseline supplements? What do they tend to be? And do I believe I'm getting those, whether through food or lifestyle? And if you're not, like maybe there's a list of 4 or 5, right? And if you're not, then you could try adding that in. Now, so that's to, let's say, to correct something or to bring you back up to baseline. Then there's this how the other half lives, where they're trying to optimize performance and they're trying to go beyond baseline. So that would be another example of why someone would take a supplement.
Yeah.
So it might be to correct some sort of a deficiency, to correct some sort of a symptom. And then there's this other side of it where it's like, no, I want to go beyond baseline. Yeah. And that's cool too. There's a whole huge subpopulace that's their goal, and that's what they want, and they're competing against other people that are trying to find the edge, especially in a world now that rightly so has cracked down on a lot of illicit substances and performance enhancing drugs and things like that. So they're like, part of being a sports medicine naturopathic doctor is listening to those athletes that want that extra energy output. They just want to be able to throw more punches in a round. Well, what's allowed for you is small dose of creatine allowed. We'll just do 1 gram a day for 2 months, see if that increases that. There's herbal options to help with the adrenal glands and how much energy and cortisol they release and things like that over time. So that would be another reason. So I think that, we've probably covered most of the reasons why. And then there's another one. I'm thinking as I'm talking here, certain prescription drugs can deplete various nutrients. So a famous example would be something like a statin, which is to help control cholesterol. And that can deplete coenzyme Q10. CoQ10. So CoQ10 is something that's just needed for cellular energy and energy production. When I learned about CoQ10, it was in like Pantene Pro V commercials about it's good for your skin or your hair or something. Like, no, there's oral CoQ10 that you can take to help with energy production. But so that would be an example too. You would need to supplement. I guess it's correcting a deficiency, but it's something that probably isn't at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. That there's always a give and a take, right? Yeah. Especially with some of these drugs that, I mean, they're manipulating your physiology, sometimes for a really good reason, but it doesn't mean that there's no consequences from that. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the people who are listening, if you're new to supplements, like when you hear the word supplement as well, you can almost imagine supplement almost also just means nutrient. Right? Like, your supplements are nutrients that you're giving to your body. And the good example that you gave is an athlete, right? An athlete is not typically suffering from a deficiency of nutrients. They're looking for that extra little bit to get them that extra energy and that type of thing. And that's something that I often look at when people come to me as well. And they're like, I feel tired, or, X, Y, Z symptom. And you can look at that and say, well, how's your lifestyle? Let's look at your lifestyle first and see, how are you eating? How are you, are there adjustments that you can make in your lifestyle first that might also get you more of those nutrients, more of that energy that you require?
I would. That's the holistic health plan right there. So what I want to mention about supplements and expectations of how much it's going to help you, I can tell you that when I see something out there that says that this herb or this nutrient reduces something by 20%, everyone goes crazy and jumps for joy and froths at the mouth and wants to just give this to like, that's a huge number for us as practitioners. But then when I think from the perspective of the patient, who they're in pain and or whatever it is, they're looking to solve something by 90 or 100%. 20% probably that's a tough sell, but that's what you have to tell people as a responsible practitioner. Just as far as setting expectations, that here's what we're looking for. Like, we're looking to decrease the symptom by a fifth. And that would be considered a tremendous success, actually.
Yeah.
So that's what supplements are doing, right? And so it should just be part of the puzzle. And then, like, managing stress is going to go so much further, likely.
Yeah.
Or learning cognitive strategies, starting to exercise more regularly, focusing on your sleep hygiene, focusing on the broad spectrum of nutrients you're getting through your fruits, vegetables, and decent quality protein and good quality carbs and all that stuff. Like, that's the 80%.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part to not only get people to do, but just get through to them in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've been sold this fallacy, and it's probably through the success maybe of antibiotics, that if I have something, I take this thing and it wipes it out.
Yeah.
It's like, in some cases we do have that in this world, which is great, but that's not the bar, especially in my world where we're trying to tweak things over the long term. Like, it's not just about clearing it's about the body has a set point that it's at right now. It might have been at that point for a long time, whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol, or something, and at a minimum it's on the scale of months that this is going to take to solve. And it's not 2 appointments with Dr. Riley, although that's sometimes all I get for whatever, for various reasons, and I do what I can in those appointments.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more about you have, the timeline is months. The magnitude of benefit is, in just getting into the double digits, 10-20%, I think is a nice, good success. And then the other part is just about incorporating the new habits and lifestyle changes. And it might take years on your own. Like, things that I've been working on right now, whether it be anything from, like meditation, or like figuring out like just how to be a little bit healthier through sobriety and things like that. It's like some of those things that's taken me a decade to figure out, but that's kind of life, and that's the fun of it as well. And but supplements can be part of it. And does the doctor take supplements? I take lots of different types of supplements, because one is I want to try it for my own symptoms and myself, and I want to try it and see what kind of effect it has on my physiology, and then I can make that type of, at least I'm an N of 1 study, and I can make a recommendation. If someone's scraping the bottom of the barrel, they tried everything, I could say, hey, try this. I tried it for 2 months once, really worked, kind of thing. But yeah,
I think that's where people have the most success with supplements, is when they are doing everything that they should be doing, and then they take that supplement. That's where that, like you said, that extra 20% can really feel like 100% that they're looking for. Yeah, because they're supporting that supplement with everything else in their life. And it's so funny, because the word supplement in itself, you would think you would understand that it's to supplement an already healthy lifestyle. And so, like, if your lifestyle is not already healthy, what good is that supplement going to do? And it sounds like what you're saying is it's not going to do that much good. It might help a little bit, but it's not going to feel like it's helping much, because of that the lifestyle piece of it just outweighs everything else so much.
Yeah, it does. It does. Sometimes the supplement can help get you feeling better so that you can take those actions.
Yeah, that's a good
sometimes
point.
That can happen, right? You give someone's not sleeping well, maybe racing thoughts, maybe something else, perimenopause, and you give them a great sleep formula. I've been giving a lot of melatonin-free sleep formulas lately, just pure herbal, and having a lot more success. Maybe you fix their sleep, maybe they have more energy, so sometimes you can intervene kind of early on in the process, and it can help with other things, but Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, I think that was interesting what you said. If they're doing everything right and then you put something in, sometimes you can really see a benefit. And yeah, because if you're living right, the system seems to be a little bit more sensitized as well to things. But I find I hardly ever have people that are doing everything right and come to me and aren't already taking half a dozen supplements.
Yeah.
So then it's my job. I actually just did this late last week was we brought all of them out on the table and just kind of went through them one by one, and it's what I want to do, like with the supplement reviews with people. So I actually got to do it just organically there, where it's like, why are you taking this? Do you know, first of all, can you tell me why you're taking this?
Yeah,
that's the first question. And for half of them, they do have some sort of vague notion of why, but they're not quite sure, and they're taking, I don't know, a quarter of the therapeutic dosage from trials. And so at that point, it's likely, you could argue it's supportive, but I think it's just a waste of money at that point, right? So, yeah.
It's like taking BCAs.
Yeah, no, I know. There's some great channels out there. Minute Fitness, I think, is one of the ones on YouTube that's kind of brought that stuff down. And they really boil it down, like in the world of exercise performance. It's so limited, and it's so funny because it's like nicotine shows up as helping performance, caffeine shows up as helping performance, protein, and it's like, wait a minute, so like meat, coffee, cigarettes, like I mean, it's not cigarettes, I say that jokingly, but like it's like nicotine, caffeine, protein, creatine, and then beyond that it's all these other ones. It's like
that's where a lot of misinformation gets put into this area of supplements. Is there are these like hairline benefits to a lot of different things, like you said, like caffeine, even nicotine. Being, if you test for it, you might see that there could be a benefit in this small area of your life to taking nicotine, but then a supplement company might take that and go, this supplement helps with this. And that's how it's marketed, but we don't know how much it helps with that. We don't know how safe that thing is for somebody, or even if it's useless. Like, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second.
Nice.
Like, what are like some of the most like useless supplements?
Useless supplements.
Yeah. The ones that you think are just like, don't waste your money on this.
Yeah. I would say there's certain high dose, like single amino acids for muscle protein synthesis. I think that's all kind of been killed at this point. So I would say that would be one. Like if you're trying to target certain amino acids for something, like maybe if you're targeting tryptophan to help support serotonin, but as far as building muscle goes, that's where you seem to see the most number of useless substances, I would say, because guys like us seem to be the easiest to fool.
Well, it's like, and it's like for those of you listening, like BCAAs, amino acids, those are things that build like a protein, right? And so if you are trying to build muscle and you're not already eating protein in your diet, like a good chunk of protein in your diet, like you're already missing the mark on building muscle. So those BCAAs that you're taking are not, like, they're not going to do anything. Like, you should be getting that from your diet. Otherwise,
they just don't really perform over and above. You need a full so there's those essential amino acids that we need to get through our diet. You need a full essential amino acid profile in order to build muscle. There seems to be some that if you have a protein powder, you want to see certain amino acids in a certain ratio. I think it's like leucine, isoleucine, and valine, something like that, can be a little bit more heavily weighted. I would say, okay, so we're talking about what is out there that's kind of, I would say most things associated with some sort of a weight loss pill. There's that, and I'll pick on the fitness industry again with all the pre-workout that's basically just caffeine. And maybe beta-alanine, not enough to actually have benefit, but a bit of beta-alanine just to get you feeling tingly, so you're feeling caffeinated and tingly. And just look out for your other organs if you're doing that too much.
Well, and even fat loss pills too. Like most fat loss pills are just caffeine, aren't they?
I've been I mean I've or It probably is, yeah, or some sort of. They used to be stimulants before. Thankfully, they're now banned. But stimulants would just acted as appetite suppressants, and like
Yeah.
I think they were getting borderline amphetamine. There was I can't remember what they used to call it, but it's been ephedra HCl, and that is actually just ephedra in and of itself is an herb. It still has to be really caution with it's something called a sympathomimetic, which means it mimics your sympathetic nervous system, which is like increased heart rate, breathing rate, things like that. So yeah, anyways, because we work with weight loss patients and clients and people all the time, and like I keep looking, am I missing something? Is there something I'm missing? Is there a silver bullet out there? I always hear about weight loss pills and programs and this and that. And the more you dig in, the more you realize that it's basically a big con. And it's like, what's out there that actually works for weight loss? And you'd be surprised. Green tea is in the trials. That comes up as actually being supportive of weight loss.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can do it with spicy foods.
Yeah.
To the extent that it's actually going to move the needle. You'll hear that too. You got to get a lot of cayenne in your diet and this and that. But it's like, it's protein, again, is thermogenic and helps you build muscles. So you up your protein to, maybe a 30% on the macronutrient distribution, maybe that 1 gram per kilogram of body weight or something. But it's like, it's things that people are like, so you're telling me, so like green tea, protein, stay hydrated, get good sleep, make sure I eat fruits and vegetables to get my fiber and my vitamins. I've been hearing this since I was 7 years old. It's like, well, that's the truth, unfortunately.
It's the truth.
I swear I dig every week for because I care. I want to help them, and I feel like, am I missing something?
And it's heartbreaking when you hear people who like poured their paycheck into this new program, this new supplement or something like that, and it fell flat, right? And the one thing that I often will talk about too, especially with clients who are going through this, is these companies who promote a product and are saying, like, guaranteeing that it'll work and showing all this evidence that it works and this is the thing, and then it doesn't for that person. Well, now that person is actually, they think that it's their fault, that it's like something's wrong with them. It's not, how could something possibly be wrong with the product? Something's wrong with them. And that's a really, really sad thing, because it's not true.
No.
Right? Like, it's, something's not wrong with you. Something's just wrong with the process right now. We need to find what that something might be.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's unfortunate, isn't it? But it's the same game year in, year out, over and over and over again. Because, I mean, look what I just said. I'm looking if I'm missing something, but I've always got, like, I've got a keen eye out looking for the con, right?
Yeah.
But not a lot of people are, and they're very hopeful. And yeah, I mean, it's almost like the thing that's almost worse than it not working at all is it working very quickly, because you're suppressing your appetite and you're not, eating many calories, and you just decided to exercise 5 times a week, and it happens very quickly, and then it yo-yos back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're just, I think the psychological impact of feeling like a failure from that perspective can be even more damaging to people.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really devastating to a lot of people, and it makes, we've talked about this before, how that cycle creates this fear, this pain of even trying, even starting something. Right? And we live in such a fast-paced society too, that it's very easy for us to want that one thing. Like, no, I just want to, it's worth it to just try this thing. If it might just work, this one thing might work, it's worth it to try it, so I don't have to make all these changes. Right? And something you and I both believe in is making small changes and building off of it. Right? And that could be with a supplement as well. Like, okay, let's take the supplement, but what else can we do to support that supplement? Right? To make sure that we get the full benefit from taking that supplement. Yeah.
And that's the way to be, because what if there's a worldwide shortage in curcumin or whatever you're taking? Like, you always want to get to the point where you're not relying on any one thing. And I know there's certain people out there that might be completely reliant on some sort of pharmaceutical, but even so, I mean, what happens if you lose your benefits, or the government enacts new legislation where there's not a break on prescription drug prices or something, and suddenly it's $1,000 a month bill or something, and you just simply can't afford it? Then what you have to fall back on are your healthy habits. And it might be temporary, but that might happen at some point in your life. And so then you have to fall back on just, the SHEDS, SHEDS, sleep hygiene, exercise, diet, and stress management.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on a really good point there. Supplements aren't cheap. Like, even basic supplements, like they cost a decent amount of money.
Yeah, a good one singular supplement typically runs $1 to $1.50 a day.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, like, that's pretty significant for a lot of people, right? So if you can make healthy lifestyle changes that also bring you the same benefits as maybe taking a supplement, start there, right? And that's not to deter people away from supplements, because supplements are important. People do need supplements. They play a crucial role in people's health, especially with foods that have been, kind of picked apart and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're talking like foods that don't have as much like magnesium and certain leafy vegetables and things like that. Yeah.
Or specific diets that people are on, where you touched on before, if you're not eating any meat at all and you're not getting like nearly enough B12 that you need, like those types of things, like they play a crucial role. But what I'm saying as well is, if somebody is seeing a symptom or something and they're, broke, they don't have money for supplements, well, you can just make lifestyle changes that might promote it, that 80%, like focus on that 80% as well.
Yeah.
Or first.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And if you do have the means to try supplements and you want to try them, just to note too is, in the trials, some of them do a measure at 4 weeks, but most of them it's like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and then it seems like most trials run out of money at 16 weeks. I don't know, but just that's what we're looking at too. If you want to give something a go, it's not for a week, it's not for 2 weeks. 4 weeks is just scratching the surface, and so you have to ask yourself, am I that type of person that even wants to prioritize this and do this every day for 4 weeks before I even really see much of a benefit?
Yeah.
And hopefully the answer is yes, because it's worth a shot. But many people that I work with, from what I can see, they underestimate how hard it is to incorporate that new habit into your life.
Yeah.
And so the best one for supplements is the habit coupling principle, where you do it with something that you already do. So you're already eating. Hopefully you eat breakfast around the same time every day. That's a really great opportunity to get in a good bolus of supplements.
Yeah.
And then it depends. Are you going to the office for lunch, and then is dinner unpredictable? Like, some people just have maybe one opportunity at breakfast and then maybe one around bedtime. And so it's a whole other thing to add into your life. Yeah. It is, yeah.
And let's imagine that somebody does make that decision. They say, okay, something's off here. I know I need something. Or maybe they've researched. They go, okay, what could this be? How do they know what to look for in a supplement in terms of it being safe for them? Because I think supplements scare a lot of people. Right? Even something like vitamin C or curcumin or whatever, somebody might see that and they go, well, I don't really know what it is. It's foreign to me. And so I don't know if it's safe for me to take it. How do people know that? How do people figure that out for themselves?
Yes, well, a couple of the ones that you mentioned, like vitamin C, that can cause like loose stools and bowel movements and things like that at a certain degree. So if you have some trepidation, know what the common side effects are. I find like those Healthline, Medlines, they actually don't do a great job. The first ones that come up in the first 4 that come up in a Google search, they're so general, they're so just diluted. I don't know.
It's very deterring for people, right? When they see that kind of like diluted, super general stuff, like people want like
it's all the same. And I guess because if you give certain supplements to 1,000 people, you're gonna see a lot of the same patterns coming up over and over again. You're gonna see digestive upset, you're gonna see skin irritation, you're gonna see Diarrhea, you're gonna see, yeah, like it's just kind of the same stuff
It's
over
like
and over and over
anytime
again.
you search anything on
Yeah.
Google, you're like, I have cancer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, crap, it's cancer.
yeah,
I better go to
exactly.
the hospital now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think those sites, they probably are overly cautious, maybe with their own liability. Like,
Yeah,
I get
totally.
that. So it's always go to the hospital. It could be the worst thing because
Yeah.
it could be,
Yeah.
not statistically, but it could be. So yeah, so try to. Like maybe if you can go on the manufacturer's website, they'll have a little bit more specific side effects, maybe through their own trials, maybe.
Yeah.
Not to kind of push my own education and knowledge too much, but I tend to know, like, more so, like, so you said curcumin, that one does tend to be a little bit more, if it's going to affect you, it might be a little bit more like digestive upset or
Yeah.
something like that. And then vitamin C might be the opposite. It might be kind of, so I feel like, just because I've been in the game for so many years,
Yeah.
I know the more archetypal 1 or 2 side effects to look out for. Probiotics, look out for bloating. Could make bloating even worse, right? So I know for most of these things. So yeah, not to just like pass the buck and say talk to a health professional, because I know that's frustrating to hear over and over and over again, but there's a reason. Like, health professionals, they didn't just sit there and passively learn. Like, they've been quizzed and tested and told that they're wrong and told to fix that and told to correct it.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes for years and years and years. And that is the difference, right? It's not just kind of passively doing research. It's like being humbled over. I can't tell you the amount of times I was humbled going through school. And that's really why you talk to people like that.
Well, it's funny how people maybe seem resistant to hire a health professional or get advice from a health professional. But it's funny because, like, yes, anybody can take the time and learn this stuff themselves if they really want to. Of course you can. Anybody can learn how to do an oil change if they want to as well. But they don't. Like, you go and you hire somebody who knows what they're doing, because it gives you confidence that your oil change is going to get done correctly. They're going to put the right oil in, the right amount, right? Those types of things. They're going to, anything with your vehicle is a good example. It's the same thing with your health. If you're not sure about, this symptom and why this might be happening, and you don't like the answers you're getting from your doctor, or, that try this and come back and see us kind of thing, then go and talk to somebody who has put in the time, who is passionate about learning about these things and really knows their stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I have one resource for somebody if they do want to get out of the Medscape health line. I can't remember some of the other, WebMD, right?
WebMD.
They're not horrible, but they're just very, very general. And that's examine.com.
Yeah, I love examine.com.
Yeah, so that would be if someone's like, okay, well, where can I go other than the top 6 Google results? Go there instead. That would be my advice.
And I've even heard from people who use those sites, right? Like a good reputable site where it's still overwhelming for them, right? And if that's the case, like, there's no shame in that. Like, it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's a lot of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely no shame in asking somebody for advice on something like that. Like, you're not supposed to know this stuff.
I'm overwhelmed by legal stuff. I can't stand reading 2 sentences of it. So,
right? Yeah. So you hire somebody who has studied this stuff, who knows what they're doing, somebody who you can trust, and you get that you get that confidence from their information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Just a little bit more about timing of supplements and things like that, because I think that's something that deters people. Is maybe they find it inconvenient. They're trying to take something away from food, or 30 minutes before you eat, or this and this and that. And I was given really great advice from someone years back, and they said the number one thing is getting it in your body. And so some of the argument from someone might be, well, I eat like high fiber oatmeal in the morning, and isn't that just going to bind with the supplement, just take it out of my body?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe take it with your first few bites of oatmeal then, if you're worried about it binding. Yep. But it's like, so what's it going to decrease insofar as absorption? Okay, let's think of it. What if it's 25%? Well, your option right now is I'm going to take the supplement that's going to absorb at 75% because I'm taking it with some sort of a binding fiber, and or 0% because I'm not going to take it at all because I'm just overwhelmed and it's too much, and I did it for a week and now it's just too much effort. So if it's between 75 or 0, it's 75. And if you're really that concerned about that remaining 25%, taking it with the perfect meal, well, then you can make that tweak. But like the number one thing is stop thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
And just try to get it in you.
Yeah.
Like really, that's
Totally.
that's the number one piece of advice I can give you is stop making it complicated. I'm sorry if your naturopath told you that it has to be, this one has to be taken with food and this one in between meals and this one 30 minutes before the first full moon of this, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's too much.
It's like, what's the alternative, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was doing my nutrition education, like learning about these things of like, okay, so cooking broccoli this way because it has these vitamins in it should be cooked with, butter, or this shouldn't be boiled in water because the water absorbs some of all this stuff. And you're like, this is interesting to know, but am I going to specifically cook? Like our lifestyles are so busy. Like mine in general is like dinner time sometimes is such a mad rush. It's like I'm not typically, like realistically, I'm not spending my time going like, okay, so this broccoli shouldn't be cooked in water. This should be steamed. So I'm going to make sure I steam it today. It's like, no, I'm just trying to get food on the freaking table some days.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can overcomplicate things to the point where it creates friction between you and the habit that you're trying to create.
Yes.
And then over time, that friction is enough to make it fall down to absolute 0.
And it's you create a negative association to eating healthy.
You can.
Because or to taking supplements or to like whatever the case might be, because you're like, it's just causing more stress in my daily life.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. Like, what's the alternative? It's like, okay, either I'm going to spend all my time like making sure I got the right vegetable with the right cooking method, or I'm going to go to McDonald's. You're going to be better off.
Your brain's going to do the calculation of how much energy it's taking you just to think of which foods to cook. And you're going to go, no. Or I can get a double cheeseburger for what are they now?
Exactly.
$3.
Yeah.
50 cents.
And I do think a lot of people think that they're like, well, I don't know how to cook healthy anyways. Like I don't know how to do it the right way, or the perfect way. And so what's the point in doing it? If I'm not doing it right, I'm just not going to do it. And it's like, no, you're better off to just boil every single vegetable versus having to try and like cook the right vegetable the right way, or take the right supplement with the right food. Like you mentioned, you're still better off taking that supplement than not.
Yeah.
Like you have a better chance of that supplement working if you take it versus if you don't take it.
Yeah. Yeah. So just, if you can only take things once a day, I understand. And then just take it with breakfast or take it with your first meal, or bring it to work if you don't eat until lunch, but you always eat at your desk and, what have you. And so, so you still systematize it so you make it easy enough. But habit couple with something that you're already doing. I don't know anyone that's kept up the set 4 alarms on your phone to take supplements. Yeah. I don't know anyone that's kept that up for more than a month.
Or any habit, really.
Yeah.
It's so hard, right? Like you mentioned before, it's so hard to just even set a habit, and that's a habit.
Yeah. So know that if you're embarking on supplements, it's habit building, it's habit formation, and if you're struggling, like, you have to look into the science of habit building a little bit if you want to stick with it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know there's people that really do want to do it. They believe it's going to make them feel better. They've researched it themselves. And if you're not able to keep it up, that's probably why. I think we've talked previously about what are some of the top reasons why patients don't have high adherence, and one of them's cost, one of them's they weren't sure if it was working, which is probably within that first 4 to 8 weeks when it doesn't really work yet. And then the last one was just some murkiness around why they're taking it at all, which I hope you see that in other professions and not so much in mine. But because I try to explain, just in detail, this is why you're taking it. Even when I send the online prescription, I put a little note. I just say, just a reminder, this affects this, which should help with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's motivating for people. They need to know why they're taking it.
Yeah.
I'm taking vitamin C. Why? Well, I think it's good for your health. Like, sure, it's good
Yeah.
for your health. Do you need to be taking 2,000 milligrams a day? Do you eat red peppers or strawberries or grapefruit or anything else with vitamin C in it? And yeah, wasn't it you who told me a couple years ago that broccoli's got a decent amount of vitamin C in there?
Or it's got 3 grams of protein. Most
Oh,
one
okay.
serving.
I think that's what blew my
it was.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and that's the thing too is I don't think people fully appreciate what they get from foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're so quick to go like bananas, potassium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's it.
Right, right.
Or like oranges, vitamin C.
Right.
Like,
There's
it.
not even that much.
Right?
Yeah. Or maybe I'm thinking a glass of orange juice or something. It's like maybe 100 milligrams.
Like milk's supposed to be like so good for calcium, like stuff like that, right? Like, and we really seem to attach one thing to one product, whereas when you look at something like rice, for example, like the amount of nutrients that you get from like whole grain rice,
yeah, or beans,
or carrots, or anything really,
yeah.
right? Like, when you are able to just have more variety of whole foods in your diet, you're checking a lot of boxes that we don't realize we're checking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's so many great ways to make that stuff taste awesome, and it's the simplest ways too. You know, you're talking about different cooking methods. It's like you cannot go wrong with garlic, onion, salt, pepper, and some sort of healthy cooking oil. I like avocado oil because it has a high smoke temp, and you can like get a good sear on the cast iron with certain things if you want that. But and I mean, that's all you need to do. That's any restaurant's doing with their sauteed veggies anyways. Like so there's you got to simplify it, whether it's food and creating good habits for making healthy stuff or taking a supplement. Just keep it simple. Yeah.
So in terms of focusing on what is safe for me, it's, do your research as best as you can. If it's overwhelming, you're still unsure, like seek professional help, and just make sure that gets your foot in the door with it, right? You don't have to commit to seeing somebody, every time you take that supplement, but get some confidence starting out, and then you can learn as you go as well, right?
Yep.
What about like dosage wise, when people are looking at, like you mentioned, like vitamin C, having too much vitamin C in your diet could have some adverse effects of, maybe some issues with bowel movements and stuff like that. How do people know like what's too much for a supplement?
Yeah, or too little. Yeah. So, well, I can tell you what I've done is when it comes to are you getting enough, there's just one more variable of complexity, and that's percent concentration of key compounds and key ingredients. Because if you're looking at, let's say, another famous herb is called St. John's wort, and it can help with low to moderate depression, but there's a certain percentage of something in there called hypericin, and if you're not getting enough, and this is on the magnitude of like the popular supplement brands that you'll find, let's say in a Shoppers or at a Walmart, those
big box stores,
they sometimes have a 1/10 of the concentration. So they'll say 500 milligrams of X is in here, but it's 500 milligrams at a 1/10 of the concentration that they show in trials that you need. And so what I do is like in my database, I know the percentage that I'm looking for in addition to the milligram or microgram or gram dosage. So you actually need to multiply both together, and that's how you get the right amount. And that's why,
that's the real benefit.
That's why you need someone that knows what they're doing. And there's such a big difference. And like I said, this appointment I had last week, again, where we were doing this thing, and it was a lot of Costco brand and the Shoppers Drug brand. And I was just kind of saying, this is what I look for. This concentration is about a 1/10 of what we need to get therapeutic benefit.
Yeah, right? There's a reason why, and anybody watching this, like I'm talking to you or listening to this, there's a reason why I ask you for advice when I'm looking for a supplement, right? When I have my concussion, I was like, what do I take? Like, what do I do for this what can help? Like, because you're this, like, you have this information. I'm not an expert on supplements and stuff. That's not my area of expertise. Know what your area of expertise is and be okay with reaching out for help. Because like you said, like, I know that you know where the good quality products are. And if you don't, I know that you know how to find it. Whereas most people, they're going to that big box store and just going like
fish oil, grabbing big thing fish oil. Oh, that's a good value. It's 200 capsules, but
good
200
price.
Capsules of what? You need to add the EPA and the DHA together to get a certain amount, and the rest is just going to be filler omega oils and random stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so like, you're talking concussion. If you're just getting 200 milligrams total of EPA and DHA, and you're still taking, a capsule or 2 capsules a day, and you're getting 400 milligrams a day, and you need to be getting 10 times that amount in post-concussion recovery, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting anywhere that's going to show what we call clinical significance or clinical benefit, which means you see a difference. Yeah. Or if we were to compare Kyle in this universe to alternate universe Kyle to another alternate universe Kyle, and this one takes 4 grams of omegas and this takes 1, and like, which one is actually going to recover more quickly on the course of days or sometimes even weeks? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, quality just matters so much in terms of supplements.
Yep.
Like, even down to protein powder. Like, you see it, quality just matters so much. Like, protein powders that have like sawdust in them and stuff like it. It's just like that's where it gets scary, right?
Yeah.
That's where, for me, is like somebody who has some knowledge about the supplement industry and and quality. That's where I really am aware of the fact of like, I'm going to talk to Dr. Riley and see what he suggests. Like, I might have an idea of what I think works, but I'm still going to go to you and be like, where's the best place to get my vitamin D? Right?
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's definitely some supplements where it seems like, well, this, like, vitamin C is vitamin C. And I would say that might be an example where it's a little bit closer to what's what. But yeah, when you start getting into various forms, like options, like magnesium comes in various different forms. It comes in oxide and threonate and bisglycinate and citrate and malate, and I probably haven't even named all of them, but that's probably 5 right off the top of my head. And they kind of have an affinity for different things, and some of them are more known to be filler type magnesiums, like that aren't well absorbed, like the oxide. So you might be taking 500 milligrams of magnesium, but it's all this kind of filler, not highly absorbable, cheaper to make, and that's why it's at Costco for a cheap price. Yeah, and it's not doing anything. So that's what I'm trying to do with my license and my career is the people that I run into that are taking supplements in good faith. I'm just trying to tell them how they can, I guess, buff up their regimen a little bit.
How do you optimize it?
And then tell them what to look out for next time.
Yeah. So in terms of like supplements versus diet, and in terms of like not getting enough or getting too much, would you say that, how do I want to word this? Like, is it safer for somebody to focus on getting vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from their diet, unless it's something specific, like we talked about, out of the gate here, of like, you notice a specific symptom? But even then, like, is it safer for somebody to first go, where do I get this from my diet? Like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm deficient in this, based off of my research that I've done myself. Is that a good starting point for somebody, or should they jump right into supplements?
Yeah, great question. Always start with the diet first. Always bring that up to baseline if you can. Yeah. If it's viable, if it's possible, if you have access to those certain foods, maybe you're trying to increase XYZ, always get that to baseline first. Yeah. And then especially if I could see the performance athlete trying to take something to maybe increase nerve transmission from the nerves to muscles and increase reflexes or increase energy stores or something like that to kind of go above that baseline. But it starts with food. You have to eat food anyways. Food is magic. It's magically packaged with various nutrients all at once. Your body knows how to break down a piece of fruit and distribute it around, and even like the fructose and the different types of sugars and analogs and things like that. Like, you can eat to your heart's content fruit, and it won't cause it won't have an effect on like fatty liver disease or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because it's different. The natural foods are much different. The body recognizes them, processes them.
That's a big thing,
appropriately.
Right? Like, the body just like recognizes that this is food.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a big part of like absorption just in general.
Yeah.
Too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. No, and you're right. That's what I was getting at. It's actually like absorption and utilization of these nutrients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go to the diet, right?
I would.
I don't know how many times in my life, and just being real, like, we all go through times where we're not eating as good, or exercise lacks, and you start to notice symptoms in your body, right?
Yeah.
You start to notice my body doesn't feel right, or
aches a little bit more. I'm a little bit more low energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just by cleaning up the diet, almost 90% of the time, symptoms maybe they don't go away completely, but I would say like 90% of the time, if I clean my diet up and get it really, really sharp again, those symptoms do start to disappear, regardless of what it is. Maybe it's headaches, maybe even with the concussion. Yeah. Like, by just eating better during that time and getting more nutrients, I noticed a difference. I noticed a difference with the supplements you recommended as well. But the diet really helped too. And like things like not drinking as much alcohol, like those types of things, they do make a big difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it really does. The one and only body you have is the one and only body you get. And it's something that it's highly reactive to the inputs, whether it's environmental and, how things affect your nervous system, or whether it's literally the nutrients that you put into your body. Yeah. It's malleable. We're all bound to a certain degree by genetics, but that's just only it's a fraction of the equation.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody needs nutrients. Everybody needs vitamins, minerals. Everybody needs supplementation in one form or another.
Vitamin L. A little bit of love.
Yeah, vitamin L, a little bit of love. I thought you were going back to the lust conversation there.
Oh yeah, check out the 7 Deadly Sins episode.
Yeah. But no, like, everybody needs those nutrients, and if you're unsure of where to start with like what supplements might be right for me, you've put together a really great free resource.
Yes, I did.
It's available on our website, wellnessdojo.ca/free-resources.
Yeah.
We'll put the link in the bio. You want to talk a little bit about that resource quick?
Absolutely. So what I wanted to do was come up with a list. I did a top 5 for living a healthy, holistic lifestyle. I was picking certain supplements that have either multiple actions, like I picked curcumin because it can help with inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that. But also now there's emerging evidence that it actually helps with depression because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It could be taking care of some neuroinflammation. And so there's some herbs and vitamins that I just harp on like constantly, like ashwagandha is one, vitamin D is one. So I purposefully didn't include those. Yeah. So I challenged myself to come up with. I let myself have curcumin, but I challenged myself to come up with some different things. And even with that, like, so let me see, and then then there's the optimal performance list, which is another 5. So did 5 like healthy holistic living, another one for optimal performance, because people are always curious about that one too. But even that one, so something like there's a lot of rage about a couple of these molecules. One's PEA, and then another one is phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine, I was just looking at this the other day, and they were saying it can lower cortisol and it can do this and that. It's like it can lower post-exercise cortisol when combined with something else, and that's. But so even though I'm including this in the list, if you have any questions about how does this actually help, do I need to combine this with caffeine for it to get the effect? Yeah, just let us know, because there's so much information.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get everyone started. Like, look at these things. Have you considered valerian or oral lavender for holistic lifestyle, for just helping calm you down a little bit? I took a valerian before this episode, kind of on purpose. And, 2 for sleep, 1 to just decrease anxiety and make you feel a little bit relaxed and stuff like that. And so there's it's not always about bringing you up. Sometimes it's about balancing you in other ways.
That's super important, and so please go grab that free resource.
Please do.
It's a really great thing to even just get you thinking about supplements and just exploring it a little bit. And another thing that you mentioned that is really, really cool and unique is that free supplement review, right?
Mm-hmm.
that people can also utilize.
Hit me up.
Message Dr. Riley, send him a message on our website. And if you have a bunch of supplements that you're thinking about taking or that you have taken in the past and you're just unsure about them, let him answer your questions. Let him give you some peace of mind, some confidence with what is right for you, maybe.
Do you know why you're taking it? Are you taking it at the right dose? Is it expired in your cupboard? That's the first thing to check.
At the end of the day, we want to see you guys have results. We want to see you live a better life and a healthier lifestyle. And maybe that's a step in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. And these things are out there to help you. They don't solve all your problems, but they do help you. There is research. There is evidence behind it. You just have to know to what degree you're looking for 10-20% improvement to help support you in most cases. And it's just a part of the picture, but it's not to be discounted completely. 20% still a chunk. So let it do its work for you.
It's there to support, right? It's so funny. I was looking at this actually when I was making some notes before, and I was writing the word supplement, and then I wrote the word support underneath. And I was like I just don't understand how we miss that so much. Support, supplement, it's just it's there to support. So that would be a big takeaway, I think, for a lot of people, is just remember that yes, these things are there to help you. These things will help you. If you're doing all the not all the right things, but if you're doing the right things around it as well. Right. It's a holistic thing, like everything else that we do.
Exactly. And that's the answer.
Awesome. Well, I hope this episode's been helpful for our listeners. I think it has.
I love talking supplements, so I'm biased.
We didn't even get into placebo effect today.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's placebo, there's nocebo, there's all sorts of cool things there.
Well, if you're interested in anything that we didn't touch on today, or even if you're interested in more information on something that we did touch on, please reach out to us. Specifically, reach out to Dr. Riley. I know he'd love to help you. So
I do. It's one of my favorite topics, and I'm here for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you, everyone.
For additional support or to work with one of us one-on-one, go to our website, www.wellnessdojo.ca. You can also find us on Instagram at Wellness Dojo YYC, or on all other social media platforms searching The Wellness Dojo. We'll see you in the next episode.